And so Geraldine is a mixed media artist. She shares her journey of self-discovery and creativity on her blog and social media and her Patreon page. And she's going to take us through a session on the art of allowing. So let's give her a warm welcome, please.
You're very welcome. Hi everyone. Okay, so I thought that I would talk a little bit more in depth about self-care, because when we say self-care, like Rachel just went through, we think of the spa, looking after our bodies, doing things for ourselves. But I would like to break it down a little bit now. I will be handing out these sheets, so it's like a transcript of what I'm going to be talking about today, plus your exercise points at the bottom as well. So, what is the art of allowing? The art of allowing is the art of no longer resisting well-being in your life. Well-being comes from self-care, yet to go even deeper, self-care comes from a place of knowing your worth. You see, the opposite of allowing is resistance. We very often resist our own well-being in favour of putting others first. This is because we subconsciously do not value our own worth enough to put ourselves first. We don't actually realise we're doing it half the time. It's only when things crop up in our life that it exposes that. Once we deal with our worth and discover our own power, we begin to value ourselves more and take action. You then begin to pour out from that place of power. Taking small steps every day to your own well-being will result in a radical life change. Now, I know that change is really, really uncomfortable, and to make changes in your life, sometimes it obviously raises fear. Fear crops up in your life, so you pull back and you go, no, I think I'll be okay. I think I'll just look after everyone else and not think about me, because you're just so scared of change, because of that fear and doing things differently and stepping out. And it's for me personally, there's been so many things where I'm operating in a place of fear, but I know that I have to keep doing it and keep pushing through, because it makes life worth living, because then you get new experiences, you grow. So it's like really zoning in on what self-care really actually is. So we're really going to break it down. So yeah, I appreciate that many do not like change. However, you can implement as much or as little change as you feel comfortable. And as uncomfortable as change can be, in the context of allowing, it will always be a positive change. It won't feel like it all the time, but it will result in that positive change. So I'm going to give you an example, and it might not actually look like self-care, but this is the reason why I've chosen this particular example, to show you that self-care is very, very broad. So it can be as simple as putting ourselves in the driver's seat of our own thoughts. You're lying in bed and your mind begins to go through the day's events, and I'm not sure if this happens to everyone or not, but I struggle when I go to bed at night and everything's quiet, and then all of a sudden my head just floods with all these thoughts, if I'm not like mega tired and I drop off first. Anxiety results as you worry about what others may think with regards to something that happened that day, or you may regret a choice you made, and that's like the worst one for me. So like a choice or something I've said comes up, and then my thoughts, if I don't nip it in the bud, they'll just continue to like go off. So here's two different scenarios. Negative thoughts, so you're in bed. Negative thoughts begin to spiral, resulting in panic, fear, anxiety, etc. You wake up tired and those worries come flooding back. So for me, a lot of the time, if it's spiraled out of control and I've fallen asleep and I wake up in the morning, it takes a moment, but then it just all comes flooding back. You're not in control. This will affect the day's decisions, and you'll more likely react to things as opposed to acting from a place of power. So I'll just say that again. You're more likely to react than come in from acting from a place of power. The other scenario is negative thoughts appear, so you're in bed, you've got all these negative thoughts coming up. Listen to them without judgment. Don't let them go out of control, but just listen to them. Don't judge them. Allow them for a moment. Then, confident and self-assured in your self-worth, you proceed to rise up in your power and allow for grace and positivity. there are solutions and you resolve to implement them step by step. This is what I do. So like if something like that happens at night and all these worries and fears come up, I don't judge them, I listen to them, then I take my power and then I say there's always a solution. There's a solution for every problem. And I resolve, even though I don't know what those solutions are, I resolve to take it step by step, to implement the solution step by step, so that I know I have that peace come upon me, because I know that I'm going to be taking steps to implement those solutions, whatever they are. So you might not recognise it, but the second scenario is in fact part of self-care. I think of it as adult me, looking after my inner child, because I feel that sometimes it's our inner child is the one that's curled up in a ball, anxious, worried, scared, wants someone to come rushing in to look after you and set things right. So very often we're only familiar with our inner child, and she can get very scared and lonely at times. In order to allow, we need to start putting ourselves first. Love and nurture yourself. I think it can be quite surprising, actually, how we don't really love ourselves. And I'm not painting everyone with the same brush, but again, with certain scenarios and situations, if we truly, truly loved ourselves, we'd have more self-worth, more confidence. Another aspect I need to touch on is hope and expectation. We're so used to believing the worst or feeling a sense of dread. But what if we switched gears and started not only believing, but expecting good things to flow to you? This makes the world a difference when you're lying in bed at night and all these thoughts come flooding in, you're worried, you're anxious. But if you actually genuinely believe and exercise expectation for good to flood into your life, it does make things better. But that's like a muscle, you have to keep working it out, you have to keep exercising it for it to grow stronger. Because I've had to do that for years and years and years, and I'm still exercising that muscle. Because if you suddenly stop, it wanes, you lose that strength in exercising expectation, faith and hope. This is the ultimate state of allowing. Okay, so you can see there are levels of the art of allowing. And when I say the art of allowing, this is an art, but also I'm using it in context of what we're going to be doing today. You can incorporate art in self-care. So, the levels in the art of allowing, I've just sort of broadly put: love yourself, see your self-worth, and then rise up in your power and expect good things to flow to you. As you grow in this self-knowledge, so you'll grow in your ability to implement self-care in your life. So what we're going to do today is you're going to have, so I'm going to give out some cards in a moment, and I'll give out the instructions as well. And you have some watercolours. Now, the watercolours I've brought, they're artist grade, they're so good. You only need the tiniest little amount, and they're really highly pigmented. So I've put a cover of foil on top because they don't fully dry, because the binder that they're using, it doesn't fully dry, it dries quite tacky. So as you peel off the silver cover, be really, really careful. I'm just going to show you. It goes everywhere, so be really careful. But when you do peel it off very, very gently, and then on the other side you'll have, some of the watercolour will go onto the other side, but that's okay because that silver thing you can use as your palette to mix the colours. And then obviously wipe it clean and then cover the watercolours back up if you're going to take them home. So what we're going to do, we're going to have these little watercolour cards, and they're going to be like our power cards. So this is a journey, because I know you were saying it is a journey, of many little steps, lots and lots and lots of little steps. And you have to really break it down, and I can't emphasise enough how important it is to take your time and take tiny steps every single day to control your thoughts, to rise up in your power, to exercise self-love. So we're going to lay some groundwork towards this journey, should you choose to take it up, if you're not already. If you are already well on your way in this area, this exercise will give you a boost, as it does for me. So this is something that I do personally at home when I want to give myself, when I'm feeling down, I feel depression coming on or anything like that, and I need to give myself that boost. This really helps me. So what I want you to do today is first ask yourself, which area in your life do you feel you need to empower? So is there an area where you think, oh, I really wish that I was stronger in this, or I want to be better at something? And it really does tie in with self-care. But if you want to sort of like think about maybe if there's something that you want to do but you're too fearful to do it, but actually today you want to take that step. I mean, it could be absolutely anything. It could be something about yourself personally that you like your inner child, or I'm going to rise up, I'm going to adult, and I'm going to look after my inner child. It could be anything. So first ask yourself, which area in your life do you feel you need to empower? For me recently, it's been my schedule and focus. So losing sight of these has had negative repercussions. So like my schedule, when my schedule goes out the window, and then I start losing focus because my schedule's out the window, I just become all over the place and lost, and everything falls apart. So next, come up with a mission or vision statement or an intention. For me, so in the context of what I've just shared about myself, I would put, I find organising easy and simple. My life runs smoothly according to schedule, yet I'm open to spontaneity, because I love spontaneity. That's why I find planning quite difficult, because I'm a really spontaneous person, without losing my focus of the bigger picture. Now, if you're going to do an intention or something like that, it's really important to put it in the context of now, as opposed to I want to find or I want to do. Put it in the context of that you are doing it now, because words have power, and that's like a whole nother thing. But words are very, 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 very powerful. So you want to do it in the now as if you're already accomplishing it. So that when you say it over and over again, you're actually reprogramming your mind, and it's a very powerful tool. But combined with this, so combined with your mission statement or your intention, we're going to infuse our thoughts with energy. And I know this is going to probably sound a bit weird. I don't know if you've thought of it like this before, but where do we have access to creative energy? Colour. So everyone's heard of colour therapy, yeah? So yeah, colour actually has a very powerful effect. So I think people are really drawn to watercolour posts like on Instagram or the videos, because they're just, I think it's because of the colours. So when you blend in all these colours together, people are very drawn to them, and colour really ministers and speaks to us, and colour is very powerful. So what we're going to do, we're going to combine colour with your mission or intention or whatever your statement is, and that will make it doubly powerful. And then you're going to carry that card on you, carry it around with you, put it by your bed, so it's going to be a reminder of what you've started today. On your worksheets, there is a list of colours, and I've only put a tiny, tiny little bit about each colour, but obviously you can look online to see more in depth what each colour means. So take your piece of card, we'll give them out shortly, and apply your choice of colour. It can be one or more, or blend them together. You can create shapes if you want to, or simply and most effectively, this is what I think anyway, are just blobs of colour, because you're going to be writing over it anyway. But just apply the blobs of colour, so you can apply water first on your card and then add the colour, which will probably be more interesting because these are artist grade watercolours. As you put water onto your card, add the watercolour and tap it onto that blob of water. It will expand and it will flood the area with colour. You can do that with your brush. You can dip it into water, draw a shape of a flower or whatever shapes, then tap the brush into the watercolour, tap the outline of where you've done the water and it will expand. So you can just have a play around with that. But it's a really mindful process, and as you're doing that, probably more difficult here, but when you're at home and you do this, if you sit down with your piece of paper or card and you start painting, thinking of your intention, thinking of whatever the mission statement or your vision is as you're painting with a particular colour, it's a really powerful process, as well as really calming and mindful, and it's also self-care. So I think that's really it. Each time you feel that you need that energising kick or a boost, or to lift yourself up, or to kickstart something, whatever in your life, get out the paints and create another one of these cards. So we're going to come around with the worksheets. Now again, on the bottom of some of your watercolour cards, be really careful because there might be some watercolour underneath. Now Rachel, these sheets